You ever love something way more than you know you should? Don't go getting too sappy on me now. I'm only talking about this truck. If I can point at any one thing that has made me interested in cars, other than simply being surrounded by them, it's this 2003 Dodge Ram 1500. Don't ask me why or how. I don't know. I just know that it did. My dad bought it new in July of 2003 from the now defunct Music City Dodge in Nashville, Tennessee. I'll never forget the day we brought it home. Now I sound like I'm talking about my child, don't I? We stopped by my uncle's house to show off our new toy, and before we could get home, we got caught in a hailstorm. Somehow, the truck got through unscathed. As if the hail wasn't enough, we had to test out the four-wheel drive to get around a tree that was down in the road. And to top it off, sorry Dad, I'm telling on you, my dad tried to do a burnout when the rain stopped, only to be horrified by the grinding and banging sounds coming from our new truck. Fortunately, and hilariously, those sounds were actually coming from the radio by way of Pink Floyd's Welcome to the Machine. Not only did this truck help me get into cars in general, it steered me toward four-wheel drives, American cars, V8s, and loud exhaust. Yeah, it's got a Hemi. That 345 horsepower, 5.7-liter Gen 3 Hemi sitting awkwardly far back in the engine bay roars through a wide-piped cherry bomb and has faithfully logged around 115,000 miles. Where I'm from, you ain't got a truck unless it's dual belt. Unfortunately for most people, that means sawzalling the muffler and cats off, transforming what would otherwise be a decent-sounding stock V8 into a dryer full of ball bearings. This truck also shoves 375 pound-feet of torque through a Chrysler 545 RFE 5-speed automatic transmission, and it has four-wheel drive and a towing package. Time for another story. Years ago, we were going to, of all things, a 4-H public speaking competition. The temperature was hovering around freezing and it had been raining for a while. Then some moron pulling a trailer decides to merge directly in front of us while crossing a bridge. My dad, who was driving at the time, swerved quickly to the right to avoid the trailer, only to lose traction, slam the bumper into the railing on the bridge, and spin across 2 lanes of traffic, the turning lane, and ended up facing the right direction in the opposite lanes. Thankfully, there was a red light at the end of the bridge and no one was coming the other direction. Otherwise, we would have ended up with more than a softball-sized dent in the back bumper. This truck was supposed to be my high school transportation when I turned 16. That lasted all of 2 days, then my dad decided he didn't want me driving around in his Hemi. I think one part of that was because he thought it had too much power, and the other part was the abysmal gas mileage. So he did what any rational person would do and went to our local Dodge dealer and bought a used 2008 Dodge Ram 1500. Single cab, short wheelbase, in blue. But with the anemic 3.7-liter V6 and two-wheel drive. Little did we know the V6 would only get 5 miles a gallon more, but at least it could use regular gas instead of mid-grade. Before too long I convinced him that I could handle the Hemi and started driving this truck again. Of all the cars my family owns and has owned, the only one we've currently had longer is my dad's 68 Camaro. We owned a 66 Plymouth Valiant for a while too, but I don't have enough pictures of it to make a video. Anyway, when it comes to this truck, it doesn't matter what's going on. When you turn the key and hear that signature Mopar starter wheeze and the 5.7 Gen 3 Hemi fires up, everything else fades into the background. Sure, there are a few too many lights shining on the dash, but the truck wears them like a proud Boy Scout wears his badges. It reminds you of the vacuum leak that the truck has had for almost 10 years and that the airbag in the steering wheel doesn't work because the clock spring broke when we changed out the POS original dash. This truck has left enough of an impression on me that I now staunchly defend Dodge whenever they're brought up in a debate. Well, technically the trucks are just Rams now, but I digress. I always recommend people buy a Dodge truck when looking on the used market because more often than not you can pick up a used Dodge with half the miles of a Chevy or Ford at the same price. And that's ridiculous! It's a travesty how much faster these trucks depreciate than their big 3 counterparts. Granted, that makes it a little harder to recommend one as a new truck unless you just like the way they look, and I do. In fact, I think Dodge has made the best looking trucks since 1997 when Chevrolet updated their lineup. Well, except those with the heinous new grille design that just says RAM! There are negatives, of course. The gas mileage I mentioned earlier is one of them. Just how abysmal is it? Well, the 5.7 Hemi in here gets around 12 or 13 miles a gallon on mid-grade. I guess part of that is attributable to 2003 being the first year of the Gen 3 Hemi. Regardless, gas mileage got a little better once they added cylinder deactivation, but it's still pretty terrible. Another negative comes from personal experience. That is how hard it is to reach the rear spark plug since the engine sits partially underneath the cowl. The brake booster inhibits your arms as you reach toward the last set of spark plugs on the driver's side. That's right, I said set. I'm sure most of you know, but in case you didn't, modern Hemis have 2 spark plugs per cylinder. I'll never forget the look of disbelief on the face of the O'Reilly's employee when he brought back 8 spark plugs and we told him we needed 16. I'll list another negative that is common knowledge, and that is the plastic on the interior will fall apart. It just will. Then again, a lot of vehicles from this era suffer from crappy plastic. Finally, I'll admit that Dodge wiring can be a bit, well, dodgy. This truck had the brake lights stick for a while, which was only a $5 fix. And the passenger side window won't roll down from the passenger side. No, it's not the switch. All that aside, I'll still take a Ram over a Silverado or F-Series. Grab life by the horns. Thanks for watching.